Boys and girls, welcome to Club Evil. I'm Evil Dick.
Evil Dick! Evil.
You're a devil in disguise is what you are. You're burning me on purpose.
That's what I'm saying. Why do they think that God gives a crap about what goes on in that house? And why do they think that he's going to part the Red Sea for them to the Promised Land? Didn't you watch last season? What they didn't show last season was me in the diary room praying to my God, Fred.
Like some young, tiny, small spaces. Evil Dick. These little gooey telltale.
Are you taking the cameras off of me?
Evil Dick.
Welcome to RTV's own Dick at Night show. This is part one of 2 parts with Dr. Will because this was such a great episode. I really enjoyed talking with Dr. Will. I love the guy to death. He's very straight up, very straightforward, and we always have a good time whenever we talk. We had such a good time that he wants to do the show again, and we will be doing the show again. But you'll see all that as we're talking about it. So go ahead, and I want you guys to sit back, enjoy part one of 2 parts. The second part will be up in a day or so, and enjoy. And welcome back. We have a very special Dick at Night on RTV's own with my all-time favorite. I haven't been shy. I don't kiss your ass, but I've told you every time that we've met, you are the one that made me a fan of this show. I've suffered through season 1. I've suffered through season 1 like so many other people that are probably not even watching anymore. And it's like, well, let me give this show one more shot. And here comes this crazy lion motherfucker with charisma that is gone for days, and you're the reason that the show is still on the air.
Let me say I really appreciate that, and I'm really humbled that people enjoyed what I put out there, and I sincerely thank you for saying that because I put a lot of effort into it. So thank you very much.
Your season 2,
and I think there's a lot of amazing players out there. So it's not like I think that I'm the end all be all, but I did put a lot of effort into it. So let me just say that.
Oh, come on. Now you're being modest. You're full of,
all right,
you're full of shit.
Awesome.
You know that you're the man. You're the man. Come on. There's, everybody, I've talked to Robin. I've talked to all these the producers and so on and so forth. I've been friends with them since season 5 now, when I was a finalist in 5, finalist in 6, finally get on in 8. So I knew all the people involved with this show for quite a while now. It's like 10 years. So, and you know them obviously longer than I do, but the auditions, people come in to audition and they all say that they're going to be the next Dr. Will or they're going to be the next Evil Dick. And these are the 2 people that they get the most during the auditions. Now, it has to make you feel a little good. I mean, your season was like, 11 years ago, season 2? I know you're on All Stars.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Well, it's funny that you mention that because if you ask, I'm very, very good friends with Robin Cass. She's really close with my wife, and she comes over to my house all the time. And if you ask her, the truth is they almost did not. Are you still there, Dick? Because you disappeared.
Yeah, I'm still here. Don't worry.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry, I'm new to this Uvu thing. Anyway, if you ask Robin, the truth is they were really, really close to not casting me, and that's the God's honest truth. And because I think they really couldn't wrap their brain around who I was. I wasn't the hunky hardy of the show. I wasn't the fun guy at the pool, the Mike Boogie character, the kind of mischievous and fun. And I told them I told them from the very beginning. I told them I was like I came in to be the villain. I'm going to be a devious villain and charismatic but fun, and I'm going to bring it every day I could, and most importantly, I was going to bring entertainment. And I think they truly had a hard time conceptualizing that. And to this day, I think it's a really difficult character to find. So I have a lot of respect for people who really own their niche. And I think you owned your niche, and I'd like to think I own my niche. And I'm terrible at this because I don't watch the show that often. There's the adorable blonde girl. She's a little ditzy, not in a terrible way. She owned her niche. You know what I mean? She won the show. You have to own your niche. And I think that if you go in there and you're quasi...
But did she own her niche, or did she that's just who she is, and that's
both.
just what happened?
Both. Well, it does. I'm not saying she's a good player, but she really owned that role. You know what I mean? Like, she went in there and that may be who she is, but she, went full tilt with it. So I respect, going back to the audition process, if you're going to audition, I don't recommend you go in there and say, I'm the next Evil Dick. You shouldn't say I'm the next
Right.
Dr. Will. You should go there and say, I am this specific character, and I'm going to give you 100% of that person.
I completely and utterly.
But what do I know?
I totally agree with you. I told them who I was, and I said I told them before. I said I have hate websites made about me, and this is before the show or anything. And people are like, "Who was it, Gen? You know Gen, right?"
Sure, Gen Maynard.
Okay, and right, Gen Maynard, and he was like, he was the head of reality programming at CBS. For those of you guys that don't know. And he was like, so everyone's going to hate you? I go, no, it'll be like real life where most people like me, but the people that hate me are going to hate me just because I'm a very polarizing person. That's my personality. And I don't see it being any different on the show. And it wasn't any different on the show. It was exactly the same. So it is who you are to a certain extent. It's just, the show magnifies who you are as well.
And you're obviously very comfortable in that role, which is imperative, because if you go there and you are playing a role, it will catch up with you in the Big Brother house. You can't fake it for 3 months. So I think you got to be comfortable with that.
It's just too long to be a fake character. Like Scott Long was one that from season 5 that was saying that he was a fake character in the house, and it's just like, dude, come on, don't bullshit me. This isn't for real. So, but you played it. Yeah, I just went, how long ago? I think it was 6 or 8 months ago. I was just on YouTube, and then something came up, and, you start following one video to the next, and you end up like a million miles from where you started. And I ended up on one of your diary rooms, the one where you're like, I will bet you, I guarantee you, I'm the biggest liar in this house. No, I'll go so far as to say I'm the biggest liar in LA, in California. I will even say that I'm the biggest liar and I was sitting there, I almost pissed myself. I was laughing so hard. And that's what people so miss on some of these seasons lately, is owning who they are, where they're in denial about themselves, lying and bullshitting, and everybody that's watching the show knows that they are, but they don't go in the diary room and own it. Like you went in and you owned who you were. And that's what made it fun to watch.
I think one of the reasons that I don't watch the show anymore, and trust me when I tell you, it's not like I'm above the show. It's just I'm 40 years old and I have a lot of other things going on in my life. But one of the reasons I don't watch it is because I feel like it has been diluted so much by the veto and the contests and this power and this secret power and this thing. And you lose it. The show is really, keep in mind, I know the people who are going to watch this are the real fans who are online, but you have to remember that's a very, very small segment of the people who watch the show. 98% of it is based on TV, and on TV it's the diary rooms that really hit home. And I think, if I put my producer hat on here, I think you dilute things down with the bad contests and the twists. And I think you have to go back to, the diary rooms are really what carries the show, because that's where that third wall or that fourth wall is broken so that the viewer can relate to the contestant. And for me, I'm saddened by that. It's like, I feel like I'm an old antiquity and it's passed me by. But, I like the pure game, and I thought it was a whole lot more interesting way back in season 2. And, if I turn on the TV or follow it online, I want to blow my brains out. I feel dumber for watching it. And there was a season, and I don't know what season it was, but I turned on the TV, and the big twist is that there was a mole in the house, and this girl who's the mole was voted out first. And talk about now what do you do for 3 months? And that was the deal breaker for me. I was like, you know what, this is just dumb. And sorry, anyway, I hope no one's offended, but it's just not my shtick to get involved anymore.
I completely, and I've been very outspoken about saying I'm not a fan of any of the twists. I think all of the twists have sucked. I know that Allison loved the twin twist. That was her the twin reveal was her favorite, and all of this stuff. And I can see it. I wasn't a big fan of that, but all of the twists since, and you brought up the saboteur with Annie in season 12, which was like one of the most boring seasons. But I think that you're right. The show is about the personalities. The show is about good casting. The show is about people wanting to care or being able to relate to, or at least be entertained by two particular people. And, you know, you having those rivalries, and how you had Hardy.
And Nicole, they were amazing today.
That's right.
If you put Hardy and you could do an All-Stars today with Hardy and Nicole. Those guys are beasts. I have nothing but respect for them, and they would crush people to this day. And that was when I went to Big Brother All-Stars, I will tell any of them, I was really shocked by how I was positive I was going to be gone first. I was positive. And the playmanship they were so weak. They were so weak.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't. I thought there was going to be Hardys and Nicoles there. And instead I was like, God, these people are so afraid to make a move. Why not? You know, this is going to be a terrible TV show. And it was.
And well, no, actually, I liked All Stars because you guys, All Stars truly was the last season I really enjoyed of Big Brother. It really was. And it was because you and Boogie went in there with the attitude of, I don't give a fuck. And you were just in there to go, and I'm going to take all the money because they're going to vote us out anyway. So let's just take what we can right now. You had fun. You went in the diary room. You were having fun. You were entertaining as hell. And these people were, you know, you're right. You weren't playing against Hardys and Nicoles. You didn't have the Shannons in there. You had Kazers, and you had Chicken George, and you had Howie, you know, these kind of people. And it's like, I'm sitting there going, you know, right after I think even in the audition process for season 8, I was like, these people aren't all-stars. I'm like, you had one winner. Kazer sucked. Howie sucked. Chicken George sucked. You know? And
it was harder to play. It's even harder to play against. It's harder. I know you know this. It's like Chicken George, James, Kaser, Howie. I really, genuinely, really liked those guys from the bottom of my heart. And it's harder to play with people you like. I would have enjoyed it more and been better at it if it was people that I hated. And in season 2, Nicole and Hardy, I genuinely hated them. And as a result, I was a better player because I found motivation.
I can totally understand that. There's people in my season I hated, and there's people in my season that you know what? That's a really good point. It's a really good point, and I haven't thought about it that way. But as the game went on, I found different things to hate about these people after being there with them for so long. So even the people I tolerated in the beginning, yes, it absolutely does. That's a very good point.
It's like a sports team. It's a sports team playing against a crappy sports team. They're lazy, and the game stays close. But if you rise to the level of your competition, so. You know, I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. If there's a high level of competition, it will raise everybody's game.
So why do you think that they only brought you and Boogie back from season 2? Because there was so many great characters. I mean, everybody still knows to this day about Shannon using Hardy's toothbrush in the toilet. You know what, it was classic.
Let me tell you, when they called me for All Stars, I was really not interested, and it was a terrible time, just my availability in my life, because I was finishing up my dermatology residency. But this is no secret. I talked about the show. You know, Mike and I were really close, and he wanted to redeem himself, and he is an excellent player. And so, you know, he sort of needed me to go on, and you know, if I was going to participate, I needed his support. But I was really anticipating. You know, I thought Nicole and Hardy were going to be there. There was people from season 3. The season I watched the most was season 3. There was people from season 3 I really thought were going to be there. You know, Danielle and Marcellus were the people chosen for 3. And Marcellus is a phenomenal television character, but he's not a great player. He's a fascinating television personality, but he's not a great Big Brother player. And so, you know, I wish they had chosen people who were real players as opposed to, you know, interesting television personalities.
Well, and this is the same thing that I always say, and you know this to be true, and you were in All Stars, that All Stars wasn't really All Stars. It wasn't like the best players. It was just about who had the biggest fan bases. The reason that season 6 had 4 people in there was season 6 was just on the air, and people like loved Janelle's alliance against the Friendship, the most hated alliance, and all of this shit. But those people weren't that good. Janelle was the only one that was like good in that season, and you know as well as I do. And this is what I loved about you in All Stars. You saw how Janelle played. She's great in competitions. And it's like, I'm going to use this girl because she's great in competitions, and I'm going to show her strategy. And that's why you guys did so well. And that's, I applaud you.
It was a good, it was a good team. It could have been, it could have been a phenomenal team. We couldn't connect for some reason, and it took months, it took weeks to even get it started. But I was working so hard to even get her to trust me at all. And then obviously it fell short for me. For those of you who don't recall, I was kicked out number 4. She kicked me out. And, it just, it was, it could have been, we could have gone to the final 3. It's no secret I would have, kept Mike Boogie and he would have kept me. But I lasted in that season. My computer just died. What just happened? Hold on.
No, you're okay. I can see you fine. Yeah,
okay, sorry, I'm back. Sorry about that. My screen cut off. But I just lasted so much longer in that season than I ever anticipated. So it was season 2 was much, much, much more enjoyable for me. Both in terms of a game and what happened after the season. And season 7 was, I was kind of reluctant to be there. I was never 100% on board with it. And I lasted longer than I ever anticipated. So it was, a life experience that in some ways I regret. Just kind of 3 months is a tremendous amount of time. But you learn a lot of things about yourself when you do these shows. So it was an interesting experience.
Well, and you had a very good opportunity, and that one more eviction, and you would have had it. You would have won the season, and you would have been the only 2-time winner.
Yeah.
You know what? But you're a great player because all the attention was on you immediately as you walk in. Because you had such this reputation over anyone that was in that house. And your season, even at All-Stars, was 5 years old. But yet you had Howie so far up your ass that they're calling it a showmance, and I could, as the season went on, you could just see how grating Howie was on you and how you wouldn't it's just like, I've just about had it with this guy. I can't take him anymore.
He, along with Mike, he's the only person that I really keep in touch with from that season. I don't really talk to anyone else. Danielle a little bit, but Howie's the only one. I think Howie's a fascinating guy and such a sweet guy. He really is, just has a heart of gold. But he had no business being in the All-Stars. He wasn't, I said this at the time, and I'll say it again. During Big Brother 7 All-Stars, it wasn't fair to bring back the 4 people from season 6 because they weren't mentally ready. None of them were mentally prepared for what was going on there, and it was really unfair for them to be there. They needed another season or 2, and I think, not that they necessarily deserve it now, but if you put James and Kaser and Howie back on a season these days, I think they would do much, much better than they did during All-Stars, because I think they were more just excited about the experience and the pseudo fame than actually being there and being ready to play.
I completely agree with you, and I think you're right. And I think that you do kind of look at things different after you've had a little bit of a break from it, because after you're on, there's so much going on. I know that after I won season 8, I literally could not even catch a breath for like 2 years after the show.
You're crazy. You get crazy.
It was like insane. I remember telling Robin Cass, the casting director, it was like 3 years and like 2 or 3 months after I won. Like over 3 years after I won, for the first time that I went out in public and nobody recognized me. And I was just my God, thank God. Because it's like, you have to give yourself an extra 20, 30 minutes no matter where you're going to stop and take pictures with people, just talk, even if you're going to the goddamn grocery store,
Dick, not to make you jealous, but just to frame this for you, back in 2001, the only shows on TV were Survivor. There was Survivor, but the only other reality show was Big Brother. So back in 2001, and these days are long gone, but Jervis from Survivor and I got flown out on a private jet to Las Vegas, and we got paid $20,000 in cash and got $20,000 in chips and suites at the casino and limos, and we were there for 3 days. And I was like, these days are never going to end. This is the greatest thing that has ever happened. And then all of a sudden I heard this, and that was every reality show ever created just slammed us in the back, and those days disappeared so fast. But those were the days. Like, that was, being a reality winner in 2001, that was like That's very, very different than being a reality winner today. You know, it's not that fun to win the prize, but those days are, unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever see those days again. Those are the Jersey Shore days now.
Yeah,
those kids took all the limelight.
Oh, between them and the Real Housewives, it's like this, you have to be in like a certain type of reality show, not a competition reality show. You know, it's funny because I can't remember who it was I was talking to. Probably like Richard Hatch, Johnny Fairplay, one of these guys, maybe Russell Hands, where it's like you have the 99% and you have the 1%. The 1% are the people that will always be related to the show. You'll always be remembered for Big Brother. It doesn't matter if it's 20 years down the road. Everyone's still going to be talking about Dr. Will. Everyone's still going to be talking about Janelle, Evil Dick. And then you have Survivor, where it's Richard Hatch. He was on the first season. Johnny Fairplay. They're always going to be remembered for those particular shows. But most of the time now, I mean, there's half the people that are voted out before the season even ends, people forgotten who they are. And even like the winners sometimes are so forgettable that, you know, by the time the next season starts, nobody remembers who the hell they are.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a fact. It's not, you know, it's a fact. It's hard to stand out these days. That's very true.
Well, and you've had 20 some odd seasons of. Go ahead.
I'm looking at my notes here. I just wanted to bring up a point because I wanted to get your take on it because I'm sure you're really opinionated about it. But I wanted to see what you thought, and I don't know if you were a fan of the show this season, but you know, I think in my mind, the biggest travesty in the history of Big Brother is the robbing of Danielle during season 3. And I don't know if you feel the same way or not, but that jury was, you know, I'm not going to say they're racist, but they definitely were sexist, and in the sense that they were embarrassed by this woman, and I think Danielle is just a competition playing beast, and I have nothing but respect for her, and she's awesome. And if I was her, I would be fucking pissed at everyone on season 3. To this day, it angers me, so I know she must be bad about it. Anyway, I want to get your take on it.
No, I completely agree with you, and it was the diary rooms. It was the diary rooms of her making people look stupid. Remember, she's like in there going, "Hi, I'm Ronnie," and totally making fun of all these people, which, you know, everybody does now, but you can't see it until after the season's over. But these people, you know, went home, they're watching this on TV, and they're going, "That bitch. There's no way I'm ever voting for her." And it was all personal. It wasn't looking at gameplay, who was the best player. It was all that, you know, she made me look stupid, and I'm pissed off about it, so I'm not voting for her. You're right. Absolutely. She's someone who
deserves to go back on all-star seasons. You know, there's some people who get invited back season to season and they don't necessarily deserve it, and she's someone who really, you know, she should be given a third shot.
Well, this is exactly my opinion about Brittany this season. She was terrible in her season. She got played the hardest. The only one that even comes close is Erica. I mean, I like Erica, don't get me wrong, but Erica got played so fucking hard.
Yeah.
And Brittany in season 12, everyone's like, Brittany had some funny diary rooms. To me, and I've said this before, and I don't know if you watched this season, the funniest part of her season was when the 3 guys that had an alliance from day one pulled her aside in the Final Four and told her she's going home, that they were an alliance from day one. And she's like, "Nuh-uh, really? Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
really?"
And those guys weren't exactly a Mensa group either, right? No. I mean, they were just kind of like 3 doofy dudes, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, they had the plan. They went in. It worked for them. The rest of the people in their season were so stupid that they couldn't see that these 3 guys were in an alliance. You know, but they do that every year. You know, they put in a bunch of people that have never seen the show. And, you know, it is so much based on where before in your season, if people don't remember. I even heard, I don't remember who it was, somebody on this season said, "Who's Dr. Will?" And I'm like, listen, they should be evicted right off the bat if they don't know who one of the greatest players in the game is. They have no business even being on the show. But
You know, I don't have an ego where I think someone necessarily needs to know who I am, but I do think that it's foolish to go into any situation and not do your homework. You know, how hard is it to Google, you know, Big Brother and watch a couple seasons of it? If I was going into it for the first time, I would absolutely do that, and I think that it's just stupid not to. So,
you know, what's funny is you bring that up, and it's so true because, and I did have a little bit of chance to prepare because I was a finalist in season 5, then in season 6, and I didn't make it on. Season 7 was All Stars. I spent the summer in Ireland. I came back, and then I was, you know, finally made it in season 8. I love Ireland. I'm actually an Irish citizen. I got my citizenship like 4 years ago.
Good for you.
My grandmother
you might get deported anyway, so it's good you're preparing. I like that.
That's right. You never know. So, but what I did from the time that I made the finals in season 5 was I went back and I watched all the seasons, all the episodes, and I sat there with a note paper and took notes on all the things that I thought would help me. And it was so funny because my mother would even call me up and she goes, "Oh, am I bothering you? Are you studying?" Because I explained to my mother, I'm like, if you're going to take a test, you know, you go and you study. This is, to me, this is $500,000. This is worth putting some time in to study. And there was quite a few things that I learned from you. There was a couple things in particular that I still remember right off the top of my head. One of the things was you going in the dining room and saying, there are weeks that there's nothing wrong with skating. You don't have to play really hard every single. If you get a break one week, take the break, you know, and relax and enjoy it. And, you know, and I took that advice after, you know, I stirred up the whole house with the pots and pans and made everybody hate me. I go in the diary room and they go, "Hey, what happened? How come you're not being more evil dick?" And it's like, because I want to stay in the game, you know. There's there's times where you have to go off and there's times where you just have to, you can coast and it's okay. Another thing that I learned from you that I really appreciated, because this really came into play in my game, was how you learned with Janelle that you had to be the last one in her ear. You would pull her in the storage room. You would keep her separated from everyone until the live eviction show. I see this shit. I recognize it, and I did the same kind of things in my game. So
I think that's a future lesson for anyone playing Big Brother is, you know, there's a tremendous amount of downtime on the show. And it doesn't matter how much or what you say to someone, as it's more important of when you say it. So I really think it's a function of being that last person in their ear and planting that seed right before that decision gets made. And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You did the best you can.
No, but absolutely. But you don't give anybody else a chance to, you know, change some of the weak-minded people. You know, it's like the Jedi mind trick, you know. You don't want to, like, you convince them and then somebody else says something, they're like, hey, you know, exactly.
These are not the droids you're looking for. These are not the droids we're looking for.
And that's the end of part 1. So, yeah, sorry to cut that off so abruptly. I don't even know where it's cut off yet because we haven't done it. But I'm sure it will be cut off abruptly. And in part 2, we talk about all kinds of shit. And we really get into it. So I hope you enjoyed part 1. And look forward to part 2 in the next day or two. And we'll post that. So I'll see you then.